Okay, welcome here. Some of us are present here in the group right now, and I'm super grateful for all of you that made a call and grateful for the ones that will be watching this at a later time. Today is the 25th of August, 2024, and this was preliminary a call to connect again after the August 11th meeting, which was our Galactic Torus synchronization gathering. I think I called it Interstellar Torus synchronization gathering. And in that meeting, we aligned, we literally synchronized our being as sacred geometry with the earth, and then aligned or watched the experience that aligned itself as it needed to. It was a joint effort. Many of us from many locations who are very much dedicated to grid work, who are very much in service to, this phase on Earth, this evolutionary phase, including a lot of people that were living on those locations. Some of them weren't able to be on the call, but there were even people that were driving, I guess is the word. They were driving a circle around Uluru, around Ayers Rock in Australia, and Australia time right now is night. It's in the middle of their night. It's usually 2-3 a.m. in the morning. So they weren't on the call, but they were very present to the work that we were doing. So know that the energy of all of us is here, and hopefully it shows in whichever way it needs to show for you when you watch this again. So yeah. I think I would like to start this by letting people share if you were on the call last time, and if you wanted to share anything of how it was the experience for you, because this was a kind of integration call, and it was very much a request from all of us to return, to gather again, to feel the energy and have some things to share. But I'd like if you could say where you are, and if you were where you are located right now, and if you were on the call 2 weeks ago, how was it for you? Just briefly, if you have anything that you'd like to share.
I'll go. I'm Ela from the Seattle area, and first I'm thinking, oh my gosh, remember what happened 2 weeks ago? But you know what, I do remember, and what surprised me about it anyway, and that was one time we had connected, and then we went to EDFU, and then I think what's Siri's husband's name?
Arthur. I guess
Arthur suggested we go to the different points, and here's what was my experience. I tried and I couldn't. I was bound to the EDFU. So at first, I mean, probably all of this happened in a millisecond, but I again tried to go to a special place for me, and it felt like I was, I'm hearing the word spellbound, which is weird. I don't know what that means, but that's an interesting word, isn't it? Spellbound, bound by a spell. Interesting. Well, but anyway, I was held there, and it wasn't unpleasant. It was wonderful. It was very pleasant. But so I surrendered to simply staying in EDFU. So that's what I'm supposed to do, I said, but I thought that was a little bit, no, I won't say that was odd. I'll just say I was a little surprised by that.
Thank you. Yeah, somebody else said the same. Cannot remember.
Yes, somebody did. When I watched the recording, I don't remember who.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, for those that weren't on the call or didn't watch the recording, which is on my YouTube channel, Edfu was the location where we were drawn to go in February to begin asking permission to open the gate, or whatever you want to call it, at Edfu, which is on the Golden Meridian, which is an energy, a frequency, and an epoch which holds and protects beginning of time. It encodes on some level. I'm using many words so that it fits with your way of seeing. It is encoded, and it encodes, it holds the frequency of ZEP TEPI, which is first time, or as I call it, before time. Edfu is the temple of Horus it's south of Giza. It's on the Meridian, as I said. It's very close to the Nile River. It is really on the Nile. I think originally the river would have come all the way in. It is the temple, if you haven't been there, it is a temple where on the outside is inscribed about the time when beings arrived on Earth. Although if you are with an Egyptologist, they cannot tell you that. So they will tell you a completely different story of what the scene is telling you, but it's on the outside. It's in between the walls on the outside wall of the temple, and it speaks a lot about the Shen Su Hor. Oh, hello. The Shen Su Hor, which were known as the followers of Horus, and they are very similarly described as the ancient ones of Ireland. And if you know the connection between Ireland and Scotland, because once they were one land, Ireland and Egypt very connected. So at Edfu, it was a group of 6 of us, and 2 more joined us. They just were mesmerized by what was occurring and stood with us. And that was at the time when Arthur, which I don't know if he's coming in, guided us then. And this is why it was important that he continued last week to reconnect the original axis, the center of the toroidal field, which may or may not necessarily be the physical axis of the Earth as we know geologically or astronomically even. It may be both, but certainly a lot of us felt it was also a galactic, so an original matrix overimposed on the planet, and that had been slightly out. And so we asked permission, and there was a sense that something had occurred. You know, with those things, it's very difficult to say exactly what, but all of us declared the Earth and all the solar system free from confusion, free from a matrix that was holding it bound to a pattern that was not the original natural pattern of the universe, and obviously for Earth as well. So that was Edfu, and this is why a lot of people felt very close to staying during the focus time or meditation, as you call it, to stay at Edfu, because yeah, thank you. So anyone else want to share anything? Please do. Please let us know where you are. So Illa is in the Pacific Northwest, in the lands of the volcanoes, the big mountains.
Hi, everyone. I was not on the call last week. I did start listening to the recording, but I didn't get to finish it. I'm in St. Louis. I'm actually about 40 minutes away from Cahokia Mounds, which I'm very attached to. Kind of feel like I'm always holding down the Midwest over here. So glad to be here.
Thank you, Lynette. Thank you for joining us.
Well, my husband and I, Mark, I'm Jackie. We were actually in Pawleys Island in South Carolina when we did the, but we live in St. Petersburg, Florida, but we were on vacation. For my experience, I've been to EDFU, so I know what it looks like, and got there, connected to all the places because that's what I do: go big or go home. And I followed it until we had some kind of thing. He said, all right, we're going to take 5 minutes to do something. And I went, all right, yeah, let's do it. And that's when I disappeared somewhere and didn't realize it, and then heard or saw what looked like, oh, did I fall asleep? And then I found myself in an all white room, like milk, that kind of white, very with nothing in it. And I went, oh, that's interesting. So I have no idea what happened. Whatever he asked us to do, I made some attempt but left. I completely checked out. It was weird. So, but interesting, because I was seeing like a lot of electrical when we were connecting, all this electrical. That's what I was seeing, like lightning at each place, and I don't know, some other stuff. But anyway, that's all I have.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Do you want me to introduce myself? I'm Helen Angel. I live in Cornwall in the southwest of British Isles. I'm just overlooking St. Michael's Mount, which is a sacred island, which is connected very much with all the lines around the earth. I've been to Egypt a couple of times in the last 2 years and met Anouk there, which is wonderful. And so I'm tuning in from a very special place. I just give you a little view of where I am. It's a cloudy day, but this is the sacred Mount. Outside my river. Not today, but the Townsend.
Amazing.
That's
So
right.
amazing. So amazing. Thank you, my dear Helen. Thank you. Anyone else would like to share?
Are we just introducing ourselves?
Yes, and please say where you are so that we have an idea of the earth.
Sure. I'm Jeanette, and I'm in Canada, Alberta, Canada, close to the Rockies. So the mountain range that I connect to the most is the Canadian Rockies, but I've been to EDFU, and I had an experience where I saw hands prints on the wall, and I walked up to it and I put my hand up to the handprint, and it seemed like it fit exactly my hand. And I just remember being totally freaked out by that in a good way. It was really a out of body kind of experience. So that was a very powerful moment.
Thank you. Thank you. Hello, Whitney. I just asked for people to say where they're at and if you have anything to share that you've experienced in the coolest 2 weeks ago, the 11th of August, when we did the synchronization.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Are we the only two so far?
Oh, if you're on the phone, you have to scroll it again and then you can see all of us.
Okay, cool.
Scroll on the screen and then you'll be able to see the gallery.
Okay, hold on. Okay, now I can only see you. Oh God, now I can't see anybody. All right, scroll it, Whitney. What does scroll it mean?
I mean, I'm assuming that it's working on the phone.
Wait a minute. Oh, I just scrolled and there we are. Okay, that's good. Thank you. Let me just think which one I want to do. But all right, I'm gonna say I'm Whitney, and I'm back from Maui, so I am in the place where I live, which is in New Mexico, just outside of Albuquerque, in this little town called Corrales. And I have to think of how many things I've seen, but I mean, when I went to Egypt some years ago, it was if I were returning to a place I had been, and I knew that I had had a life there as a priestess for Hathor, and I also had died there too due to a strange ritual, which I had to go get a cobra, and unfortunately I was running late. This is still true to this day. So I was running, but then I fell and tripped, and the cobra bit me, and I left. But I have such a connection to Egypt. It's I've had, I think, many lifetimes there. So each time in each place that I've gone, it's just feeling the past become the present again, and feeling the sense of amazement at what we call the ancient Egypt, which is way ahead of us, and so past and present and future, they all blended together into one during this whole trip, and it really it just made so much sense, and to the other lives that I've lived and that I can recall, which are quite a few actually. So I just welcome being in this group of like-minded people who have so many of the similar things that I have felt or experienced, and I am just happy to be in unity with you. And again, I'm going on that Ireland trip, so I am totally, completely, and Scotland trip, I'm totally and completely ready to go deeper into lands which I have been in before.
Wonderful.
That's
Thank you. Thank you, Whitney.
You're welcome.
Mm.
This is Melissa. I'm in Central Illinois. I was on the call last week. I was kind of moving around to different sacred sites and PowerPoints on the Earth grid during our time frame that we were working out of our Merkabahs. And then at the end, I was just seeing a huge, like, bursting light of love and light that was radiating out into the universe.
Mm.
Thank you. Oops, sorry. I'm sorry. I was gonna ask you to unmute, and I pressed the mute button. Apologies. Sorry. Sandra.
No, I'm Sandra. I'm in Ireland right now, and but I live in Egypt. And Whitney, I'm looking forward to meeting you when you come over.
Yes, me too.
It's going to be awesome. So at the last call, I moved when we said move out. At the last call, I moved out from Edfu to Aswan, to Elephantine Island. And when I'm at Elephantine Island in Aswan, I really feel just creation. So, and I have had an experience in Elephantine Island underneath the ground in a crypt where it showed me the tree of life. So, very primordial feelings there. So, so that's where I went when he told us to go up, move out. I was brought there, and all week this week, I'm going back to Egypt on the 7th of September, and all week I've been looking up hotels in Aswan. So I need to go. I will be there in September. I have to get back there. Edfu is not calling me, but it's where I went during the meditation, or during the task on the 11th. So yeah, we'll see what happens. So thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Sandra. You're muted, Josephine.
So I was on the call as well on the 11th. I'm from Wexford, Ireland, where Sandra's from, and I know her, so it's kind of nice. I don't remember on the call going to through or any experience of that. I went straight to the pyramid of Giza, and I just saw a powerful light coming out of the top of it, shining brightly. I went straight to Uluru. That was the same experience, and I'd been in Uluru a number of years ago. And then I was drawn to Lake Titicaca. The light there was crystalline, was much stronger, more powerful, and it was what do you call it, hexagonal shape. Was like power of light coming out of it. And then I just visualized Lady of the Lake coming up serenely out of the water. There was no ripples. Oh, it was beautiful. Then I was back. It seemed to be over quickly as it started. So that was my experience on the call.
Thank you. Hello, Shah.
Well,
We were just letting everybody know where we are at, and where are you located right now, and if you have anything to share from your experience on the 11th of August, the last gathering. If you can remember, if you want to
well,
share.
I got notes somewhere, but I kind of got in the middle of something and got tied up. I'd have to look, but I'm in Iowa, near kind of just southeast of Des Moines, about 45 minutes. It's kind of near the heart of Turtle Island, in a sense. We're surrounded by both the big rivers on each side of us, but I'm trying to think of I can't really recall anything off the meeting offhand. I'll have to look at my notes, but I'm trying to.
Thank you. Thank you. Anybody else? Mark, did you have anything to share?
Oh, well, the last the last time we met, we had that guided meditation that Arthur led, and I didn't see anything, but I did feel this beautiful energy, and it seemed to have a kind of a smooth surface to it, kind of like the bubbles that everybody seemed to be talking about. And so maybe we can do that again. That was fun.
Thank you. Thank you. Have I missed anybody? Did we all share whatever we wanted to share? Good. So what are the things that feel really important to note? And I know we are always connected to water. We're always on some level in conscious agreement to listen to all sentient fields. There's a conscious agreement that we may not necessarily be conscious of it in the real time. You know, we are part of life, so that is occurring all the time. And I know that there is some wonderful information out there that a lot of us know about, you know, the consciousness of water, and the late Dr. Emoto, and this new lady that wrote a book, which I cannot remember. Her name is Austin, I think. Veda Austin, who also recently brought some more information about consciousness of water. And of course, we as a group who been listening to the field of consciousness together for, some of us over 4 years now. We did a 108 days listening to the elements, and of course, part of the elements was a time where we were listening to water, and so many insights and information through the water. One particular is that the water that we know is not the physical water, or the ice water, or snow, or whatever we may think that is, you know, the metamorphosis of water is not only what the consciousness of water is. In physical, it may show up as, you know, rivers and lakes and oceans and ice caps and icebergs, you know, all the different ways that water can show. But it was very clear that the consciousness is not what we see, or what we drink, or what we're made of. And lately, it felt really important to draw attention. And again, when I say draw attention, I mean focus. We are powerful beings, and the moment we choose to focus on something, is the quantum entanglement is at play. We are able to interact with the frequency, the energy, the molecules, the consciousness of. And it felt really important, as if the consciousness that are rivers. And I Googled, because I wasn't even sure how many, you know, many big rivers are there. And there is a map, if you look online, there is a map of the major arteries within the continents that are riverbeds and rivers. And the information that has to do with the Nilotic Meridian, has to do with partly the Nile, is also feels really important to speak of, is the information that Credo Mutva brought, which is about the inner, the below ground river, and then the river that we know, and then the river that is in the stars. So yes, ancient Egypt did speak of the Nile being a representation on Earth of the Milky Way, but in ancient Egypt, because I did study the ancient writings, it is also recorded that the Boyne Valley is a representation of. Boyne means Bo'an, and Bo'an is the cow goddess, and representing, you know, her milk. And they also recorded in ancient Egypt that the Boyne River is a representation of the Milky Way. So we start thinking that ancient man knew that rivers and water, as we know, because it is also the physical river that moves through many different countries. So I forgot to open the link, but there's some information out there of, for example, the Yangtze River or the Indus River, and I was surprised so many different countries, but not only countries, because today the maps are divided up because territories have been I guess fought for and recognized as their own, but in ancient times there would have been tribes and civilizations and memories encoded in those lands, even if, you know, today the lands belong to a different name. And that felt really important to notice, that the rivers are traveling through the earth, and some of them, you know, like the Danube River is a big river. I can't remember how many countries it moves through Eastern Europe, but it carries the memory of all that has occurred. So when I want to bring attention to the rivers, I would love for us to take a moment to tune in to, you know, whichever river, if it's a river that you live nearby, if it's a river that you were really connected when you were a child, if it's a river that you love but you've never been. Those rivers are physical water, but they're also intelligence, and they're also Earth's energies, because we know that piezoelectricity was used by ancient man, all of the temples, not only temples that we may think of as in Egypt, but in and around the world, there would have been underground rivers at work, as it were. The energy of the electromagnetics of the earth and the flow of the river. I don't have the scientific explanation here, so bear with me. The flow of the physical water, but is also an energy that the river follows like a pattern, and it carries it throughout different lands that once were also different tribes and different genetics. So the river knows to move. It knows to, as we know, you know, follow the easiest path, and yes, sometimes it destroys to navigate where it needs to go, and it has the intelligence to seek something. And of course, a physical river's intention is to end up in the bigger waters or in the ocean, but not every river gets there. So that was also new to me, but it travels underground. So look at rivers in a different way, so like a multidimensional way, because it also is carrying frequency that is stellar, and there are movements in the sky and planetary orbits which are in some level synchronized with the rivers, which is a very different energy to the oceans. And if you connect to the oceans more than the rivers, and you want to particularly connect to the oceans instead of the rivers, it doesn't matter, because the waters tend to end up in the ocean. So do what feels good for you, but I would like us to take 3 minutes to just tune into ourselves and connect to what is the part of you that is the most harmonic with planetary body Earth. And then if you're willing and if everyone is in agreement, we would then join our most harmonic point to each other, creating a bigger field or a structure or a ship. And then we begin by connecting from the energy of the Golden Meridian, which is the east side of Africa. It is today the 31st, 32nd, sometimes almost the 33rd degree latitude east of Africa. And if you later look at the map, you will see that it goes, well, it goes the other way around, but for the purpose of me just explaining, the river flows towards the delta, which is moving out into the what's it called? Not the Meridian Sea. What's it called? I forgot the name of the ground of the water that is not an ocean. It's just the sea.
Mediterranean.
Mediterranean. Yes, for some reason Meridian Sea was coming. Okay, so Mediterranean. Thank you. So that energy that is the river Nile, and it would, so they say, the Blue Nile starts at Lake Tana and the White Nile is a little bit further south, and they meet in Khartoum and they move up into the, there you go again, I was gonna say the Meridian Sea.
Mediterranean.
Yeah. Maybe it was once called the Meridian Sea and now it's called the Mediterranean. So the middle of Medi means middle, and Terranean means earth. So the water of Middle Earth. The rivers, when you look at the map on the east side, and you can even look at the latitudes, and it will give you between 31, 32. It begins further down. There are lakes on one side and there are volcanoes on the other. And that center point is kind of like an umbilical center for Africa. And they say the Pangea is I think the earliest continental crust that was once one and then slowly divided up. So that was a side note, apologies. But it was important to recognize that the waters are underground and then eventually they become the Nile and then they exit. But the river is on this meridian, and this is why the meridian is called the Nilotic meridian, or also the Golden Meridian, because I think South Africa had, and Zimbabwe, and I think all of Africa had once, Egypt included, Sudan, a lot of gold. But that's another story. So connect the harmonic, the highest octave of your being. Connect to the harmonics of planetary Earth, and then connect to each other if you're willing, if everybody is in agreement to allow this connection, and then connect to the physical and the etheric of ZEP TEPI, Golden Meridian, Nilotic Meridian, the frequency that is there, and then let yourself go into the direction of the river that is wanting to speak or to be focused on. And know that the riverbeds, the opening of the earth that holds the river that flows through it, and the energetics of the river, and then whatever is happening below that geological fault, if you like, and often is, the bigger rivers are a geological fault, are holding a lot of original earth information coding. And lastly, if there is anything for you personally, then receive that information from a river or all the rivers. Thank you all. Thank you. Thank you. And so as we did before, having given the harmonics and allowing to connect together so that we would be a vessel or a sometimes a sea, an umbrella, a ship together. Now we can detach and be in our own harmonics. Thank you for the ones that connected to each other. Yeah, so before anybody shares more, be aware the information might come, later, even if it feels that you didn't receive very much. Be aware that it's just a frequency that we focused on, and it will play out the way it will play out in our lives. And for the ones who are watching this video at some point later, it will also be very much available to them. So thank you. Anyone who wants to add anything they feel important or share anything?
This is Whitney. I just, I was going with the rivers and the underground rivers, and when it surfaced like the Nile and into the Mediterranean, but then all the way up through Europe, there are all these sacred places of which rivers run either deeply, they've gone back deeply underneath, and like even under Chartres Cathedral, and all through very sacred places there are sources of water. And so somehow that the water, that humans understood that water carried this sacred frequencies, and made sure that when they built things, it was on top of the riverbeds and the smaller tributaries that went through it. And that's pretty universal, a lot in Europe and everywhere, really. So I just focused on that humans did know that it was important to use those frequencies and to build their sanctuaries and their places of spiritual devotion on top of them, you know. So that's where I just sort of went to those different ones that it's just everywhere. And again, this was known information.
Thank you.
So,
Yes, yes.
May I go next? Well, okay, I never follow anything exact. I went to the Golden Spot and I wanted to connect to the Gulf of Mexico because that's where I grew up. That's what I love. I love floating in it and I was all excited, but no. They wanted me to connect to the Nile. At one point when I was in Aswan, I hold a special place for that. We had a 3-day course in the middle of the Nile, some resort we were staying in. And at one point I was on a lotus flower zooming around on the Nile and it was very cosmic. So of course I'm on the lotus flower and I swear, I was like, I don't know, 50 miles an hour. And all of a sudden it occurred to me that it's like stars. The rivers are like stars. And it's like it's a reflection of what's out in the universe. It holds the information of the stars. And that's what I got. I had this great expansion. I'm sure when we connected to one another, I had this really big golden connection. But then, whoosh, I am always ending up in the stars. I can't have travel dimensionally, and that's where my information always comes from. But I was surprised because it's like a reflection of what's in the stars. And that's what I got.
Thank you. Thank you. Helen?
I went to many sacred rivers on the planet, but particularly to the Nile, and the purity of the Nile, even though it's very, very polluted, the energy is so pure and also purifying, and it came like to purify. To me, that was the message, but also it's a purifying energy. Yeah, it's very beautiful.
Wow.
Thank you. Thank you. So good to see you, Helen.
So lovely. I'm so happy to be able to be here and connect with you all. It's beautiful work. And I've noticed since you did the meditation, which I couldn't take part in, how much more clarity there is in the world.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, clarity about what's really going on, and much more clarity about the spiritual direction we're going.
Yeah, we all blissed out by rivers and river energy. and river consciousness and galactic consciousness.
Guess where I went? So I was at the Nile, and I remember one time I was around the area of the Nile, again in Aswan. That's a really important place for me. And the river said to me, I hold the codes of creation.
Wow.
Yeah. So everything you spoke there, Anouk, about that, it just reminded me of the time that the Nile spoke to me and gave me that. And for me, the Nile around that area, it is very pure. Helen, you were talking about how pure it is. And I always see the Nile down around that area as it's always golden to me. Always golden. Sometimes it's like golden cream. Yeah. And the codes that it carries are phenomenal. My 3 kids they're not kids anymore, they're young adults, but they were with me in February there, and we all drank from the Nile. It was really important to me that they got some of that information into them. So the rivers do carry all of that information and all of those codes. And then it brought me from that area in the Nile that I really, really love to the Giza Plateau. And there is actually water underneath the Giza Plateau.
Right.
Yeah. And I've had the privilege to swim in that water underneath.
Wow.
And it does rise and fall. It does. Do you know, as the water table rises, the water there's more water down there sometimes than other times. So all of that information is carried through the rivers. So thank you. It was lovely to go. I'm still, part of me is still there. Thank you. Really, really beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? I feel like the going, gone. Don't want to.
I could add.
Okay.
I'm really glad I waited. I didn't know if I was going to speak or not, but the codes of creation, that was from Sandra, right? Yeah,
Yes.
that really helped. I mean, it helped me feel that, well, I knew what I was doing was right anyway, but that and what Jackie said about the stars combines with what I saw and felt. Okay, so I was very excited because I went in with the intention, kind of like you, Jackie, about the Gulf. I didn't know what my special river would be. So I was very excited that maybe perhaps that's what I would connect with and I would find out. And I didn't get an answer. And then I kind of visually saw all the different, what do you call those things? Big continents. And I went to, I saw Africa, but Australia, and I kind of got excited. Oh, is this it? And I never got planted anywhere. And then suddenly I was drawn to a particular location, which is south of the tip of southeast a little bit of the tip of Africa, down there. Okay, that's very,
Oh.
very special place for me. It's where I have seen a galactic cube that holds all original knowledge. Okay. And so I was there. And so I just kind of enjoyed it. And then I said, but we're supposed to be doing rivers. So, you know, what's the scoop? What's, you know, do the rivers? And the cube basically said that, you know, all, and we know this, that all rivers go to the ocean or a sea. They all, you know, and this is in the ocean. So, you know, the cube kind of said, it all returns to me, but it goes the other way too. It goes both ways. It's like this cube has all these tentacles or river. I don't know that. I like rivers, electrical rivers. That's a really good way to. And then I noticed, I mean, then I was told that the Meridian, what do you call it? The Nilotic Meridian goes right through this cube. That's the center post for you guys that know what I'm talking about. The center post is the Meridian, or what is it? Whatever that's called. The
ZEP TEPI.
I'm just going to call it the ZEP TEPI Meridian. So that is what I felt. But when Jackie was talking about the stars, that the rivers are stars, you see, that makes me feel good, because out of the cube came all these rivers of stars. I mean, the stars, if it holds all, what do you call it? Original knowledge, all original knowledge, that's stars.
Yes.
You know, so that felt really good. And then when Sandra mentioned the codes of creation, that made me feel good, because that's what I think. I mean, all knowledge is coded. Let's just say it that way. And so if the rivers are coming in and also the information is going out, and the Meridian, whatever Nilotic Meridian goes through this blue cube, it's no wonder that the Nile holds codes of creation. So that's why I had to share, because that was cool. But again, I like getting, and I don't mean stuck in ed foo, but you know, kind of planted there, and I didn't get to go out. I didn't feel like I was failing. I give up on feeling like I'm failing, but it's like, you know, somebody else mentioned, I just didn't do what I was supposed to do, or what I thought we were, you know. It was better. The end.
Wonderful. Thank you. Yes, absolutely. River of Stars means a lot. It's also part of what Credo Mutva had shared about the River Nile. Hello, Jill. Thank you for joining us. Jill, we've done a meditation with the rivers of the world.
Oh, I obviously got the time wrong, did I?
Yes, I'm sorry. Maybe it was my fault.
Sorry.
Maybe I
Okay.
did the wrong time. But yeah, do share where you are, and if you want to share anything about last meeting, because you were on the last call, right? On August. Oh no, you couldn't come. You couldn't
Yeah,
come.
but I listened to the recording.
Okay.
That's good.
Yeah, so it was lovely. Yeah, brought different places, and it was very similar to everyone else's feedback.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
And also you've been to so many of those locations, and you are going to Lake Titicaca very soon.
Yeah.
Yeah, so thank you. Thank you for being with us. Well, there is a lot more to share, but it feels we had a really good call. We are envisioning continuing a group. This was what was asked for last 2 weeks ago on the first gathering. I don't know what to call it. For a minute, I thought I would call it Indaba, which is Credo Mutwa, the title of his book, but it means come and gather. Tribes and masters of or rather the keepers of knowledge of the tribes come gather. But then I saw Indaba is probably a complex name for people that don't know what it represents. Then there is an agreement, is a personal agreement to be present to a vision that came in long ago, which in the end was called Feet on the Ground, and it's a multidimensional vision, but it in short means, I think it means, because I'm learning about it every day, that we who come from the stars now have our feet on the ground, and we gather to celebrate. So it feels that when we gather, we truly have completed something of great importance. So Feet on the Ground would be a possible title, but please message me and let me know if you think of a title that feels appropriate to call this group. I would like to think about how to run the next call. It could be in 2 weeks, except I cannot make it, particularly that date. So let me think about it and message all of you. Ideally, we would fix a date now. It feels good to do it on a Sunday every other week. But I cannot. I think I cannot in 2 weeks' time. Or maybe I can.
It's the 8th of September.
So maybe I can. I'm still at home. So I could do the 8th of September. Yeah, I could do the 8th of September. Can we all do the 8th of September?
Yep, I can.
Is that a Sunday?
Yes.
Sunday.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
fine.
it would be a Sunday an hour ago.
I was going to
Yeah.
share those too, if I could.
Yes?
Yeah, I was just waiting. I was also still thinking about it, but I didn't really connect to the river so much. I felt like more I was like I connect to the everybody, whether I heard you talk or knew where you were. I felt like I connected to everybody, and then I seen like a central point above us, and it was like a containment zone was built around us in a sense, and that was connected, and we were in this space. So I built this space, and I felt like I was just grounding and anchoring, and I kind of saw the water cycling from the waters below up into rain and the clouds and back and forth like a cycle of life. And then I got the idea that we are like water, and so heaviness that we hold on to in any way can be released with water in a sense, to be light and flow. Anyway, yeah.
Yeah, so true. And this is part of, I think, what felt good to speak out, that if there's anything for you personally, you know, to receive from the energy of rivers, which is also the stars, you know, and to receive the codes, but also to receive the purification as Helen was speaking about. And yeah, certainly I have a big story about feeling purified by rivers. I will share maybe next time. I don't want to keep you much longer, so thank you so much. And thank you for the ones that did 2 calls in a row. Thank you so much, Whitney and Jackie and Ella, for staying on to the next call. I appreciate your time immensely and your deep service. Thank you. So we will pin the 8th of September, and then I will be in touch.
Okay.
Anyone else want to share anything?
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
I like both your names, and I think it's great you'll put it on the chat to discuss. But I just wanted to say that both of the names are beautiful, and the gathering is lovely. But also, you know, when I came here, I do know that my spiritual group, most of them haven't incarnated. So, like, we're the ones that there are many of us, but we're the ones who have actually come into the human form to have the feet on the ground and do the work.
We're here.
That's right. That's right. I
We're
love it too.
here.
I agree.
And all of us, pretty much all of us, have traveled to all of the sacred sites and, you know, powerful lands. And some of us have lived in them, and some of us live in them. And so, yes, it is very important. I'm always saying it's time to find the others. Go find the others. The next level, we need to do it together.
Yes.
Beautiful. Thank you.
That's beautiful. That's feet on the ground.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
An honor to be with you. Much love.
Well,
love to you all.
to meet everyone.
Love to you all.
Thank you. Bye-bye.